Hey MiniWarGamers, welcome to The Machine Shop, episode 11 with Ash. If you haven't seen The Machine Shop before, it's my show weekly about war games and war gamers, where we pick a topic, discuss it, and talk about either my editorial opinion of it or just expanding upon the facts and the realities. So this week we have hobby resolutions. That's going to be the topic. It is the new year, almost. This should be airing right before we switch over to 2015. And I thought it was topical to talk about hobby resolutions in general. Not resolutions, although I do firmly believe that resolutions are or any time where you can reflect is sort of a powerful moment. Think about what you've done, think about what you want to do later. I'm a big fan of reflection, writing things down, taking notes, and planning out things. But I think that when it comes to a hobby like this, that's a powerful tool for getting things done or for changing things. Because getting stuff done is hard. Finishing a huge pile of unpainted miniatures that we all tend to collect over time is a big achievement. The entry point to this hobby is a lot of hard work. If you, in my opinion, want to do it in a way that's sort of a complete hobby, like building your models, painting them, having a nicely appointed table with scenery, and playing a game. So yeah, the ticket to ride is fairly expensive. It's not like a board game where you open it up, punch everything out, and get started. And that means that this is the kind of thing that's usually marked by milestones and achievements. Can you remember your first fully painted army that you played a miniature game with? I can. It was an Imperial Guard army full of Perry miniatures and weird Jess Goodwin sculpts and some of the first plastic tank kits, Rhinos and Land Raiders ever made. That's right, I had Rhinos and Land Raiders in my Imperial Guard army. So that's a thing that, you know, we tend to like hang our hat on this hobby, is the milestones and achievements that we have with it. Could be the first tournament you win, that could be a milestone and achievement. Could be the first time you post a picture of a miniature online and get some really positive feedback. That could be a milestone and achievement. But because we're here and it's the new year, that's what we're going to talk about, is what kind of hobby resolutions might you want to set? How would you go about doing it? So when I was thinking about this show and writing down my notes, I tried to think of reasons why I might want to make a hobby resolution. Now there might be those of you out there that have far more important things to do resolutions about, and those are the things that you are going to have resolutions around. As a wargamer though, I have had four sort of things in my life that would drive why I would have a hobby resolution. First, a big pile of unpainted miniatures. That is a thing that drives me to want to paint. So for instance, I've been plowing through War Machine stuff for the War Machine League, and part of that has been because some of the War Machine miniatures that you've seen me paint have literally been sitting in boxes in storage since they came out. Like I'd buy them at release and then never do anything with them. So one of my goals for myself, goals that I set, was that I was going to paint every unpainted War Machine miniature that I owned before I started buying new War Machine miniatures. Now I kind of broke that because I bought some Merc stuff because I got really excited about Mercs and I muddied that one a little bit. But I kept to it for the most part with my Khador and my Menoth. I have not bought anything for either of those armies. I've just been plowing through painting the miniatures, and I think at this point I have 3 or 4 unpainted Khador miniatures. I have a Greyload Solo. I have a Juggernaut, an old metal Juggernaut to paint for my Khador army. And what's the last thing I have? Oh, Epic Vlad. I have Vlad. Needs to get painted for my Khador army. And then I think that's every Khador miniature that I currently own. I think that's all of them. And that's going to be a real sense of accomplishment for me. I'm going to try and get those 3 miniatures done just so that I can say, finished. I can now buy more Khador miniatures and not feel bad about it. So yeah, and I've used various things to try and help me get that done. I did a painting bet with Steve for Food Machine where I knocked a huge chunk of that Khador stuff off. Oh, sorry. And I have a UA for my my Iron Fang Pikeman. My Iron Fang Pikeman UA has to get painted as well. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 miniatures to paint for my Khador army. Same thing with my my Menoth army. I have a significant amount more stuff painted. I keep finding more stuff for that army too. I found a unit of Daughters of the Flame. I found Vindictus. I got given a unit of Incinerators. It doesn't count. I didn't buy it. I got given a unit of Incinerators by Steve, and a bunch of Warjacks too. So I have like another Crusader, another Vanquisher, another Repenter that I don't think I really play. I have Efiora, a bunch of other Warcasters. I have Resnick. Yeah, I've got some Vengers that I have to paint. Like there's a big pile. Menoth was my first army and I had a huge amount of stuff for them. So there's a big pile of Menoth stuff I have to get done. And then for my Mercs also, I'm actually fairly close to the end. I'm probably, that's a lot. because even after I paint all this Merc stuff, I have a whole privateer army that I haven't painted. So like I have all the privateer warcasters and I have a bunch of like privateer stuff too, Mariners and Buccaneers and yeah, Sea Dogs and okay, so it's a lot of stuff. Anyway, but that's a reason why I would have a resolution. And I made a mid-year resolution to get all that War Machine stuff painted. And I've pretty much stuck to it. It feels pretty good because I literally have 2 extra shelves now in my sort of like cabinet of stuff here in the studio that I'm primarily filming in that wasn't painted before I started working for MiniWarGaming. So I've probably painted a good 50 or 60 War Machine miniatures in the 4.5, 5 months that I've been working here. And that feels pretty good. That's a good resolution. So I think I'm going to stick with that one, but let's talk about that's just a reason. The half-finished project. This is another one that drives me bananas. And it's a thing that I've often said, oh, I'm going to get to it, I'm going to get to it, I'm going to get to it. Like I have a Death Specters army of Space Marines that I painted 1.5 tactical squads for really, really nicely, and I've never gotten back to them. So they're there, they're assembled, some of them are even base coated and dry brushed, but not done. So that's the time that I would have a resolution. And if I get sidetracked midway through a project, I would often in the new year go, okay, I'm getting this one done. This one's getting finished. It's not just a big pile of unpainted miniatures. It's actually like a 90% or 75% or 60% completed project that just isn't finished. I've never like gotten my willpower up to actually go and power through. That would be another time that I would do a resolution. I got a couple armies that are like that, sit in various stages of like almost there. My Yu Ching army is actually like that for Infinity. Like I painted like 3 miniatures and I assembled and base coated a bunch more, and then I just didn't get back to them because I started painting Ariadna and Toha and it didn't happen. So yeah, there's another driver, half-finished projects, great reason to have a resolution. The look that my wife gives me, or depending on who you are, that your husband gives you, your dog gives you, you know, if he's very hungry because you haven't fed him now in months, or your, I don't know, bank teller gives you. Very often we bite off more than we can chew in this hobby, and not getting it done is the best way to no longer have any sympathy from the people in our lives that don't understand wargaming as well as we do. And, you know, that we sometimes have to get permission slips from to go to tournaments or have fun or do something. Getting something finished or having a resolution about X or Y in your hobby can be a great, I'm going to say it, bargaining chip where you can sort of get your hobby time going, you know, and have an agreement where it's mutually understood how long you'll be doing it for, when you'll be doing it for, whatever. So I got friends, they like to go to War Machine tournaments, and one of the things they do is they say, okay, honey, this quarter or this half year, can I go to 4 tournaments, please? Here's when they are, blah, blah. And they plan it months in advance, you know, because they have kids and they have responsibilities and blah, blah, blah. And those can be great resolutions to have. I'm going to get out more and play, or I'm going to finish X, Y, or Z, or I'm going to finish another project for you so that I can get back to the project that I like. Those are good hobby resolutions as well because they give you more time to hobby and they make your hobby a little more guilt-free if you have a bunch of responsibilities in your life, like most of us do, who aren't, you know, in our 20s or teens. And the last one, keeping a roof over your head. Now, it is very possible to overspend in a hobby like this. If you have entered the wargaming hobby, then by nature you have accepted that you are spending money on luxury goods. Nobody needs miniatures. They do not keep you alive. They do not feed you or your children. They don't get you to work from point A to point B. Miniatures are a luxury good. You are spending luxury money, free fun money, on a luxury item. And sometimes we can get out of control with that. So nice resolution too. And this kind of dovetails into finishing a big pile of unfinished miniatures or finishing out finished projects is a spending restriction. Like for instance, one year I had I can buy 1 model for every 20 models that I paint restriction on my hobby. And I thought that was pretty worthwhile. So one, it helped me get through my unpainted stuff, and 2, it gave me a restriction and I'd kind of like hem and haw over which model I was going to buy and often bargain with myself like, well, technically a Thunderhawk gunship is 1 model. It's not necessarily the best argument I've ever had with myself. And it's an argument that I didn't also win with myself because I wasn't going to spend $1,500 on a model. So yeah, so keeping a roof over your head, cutting your spending down on hobby stuff, it can lead to all kinds of actually really positive resolutions, like finishing more projects that you already have, just getting out and playing more, so as opposed to spending money collecting models and sitting at home hemming and hawing over army lists or sitting on the internet watching videos with a guy talking about hobby resolutions. I'd get out and actually actively hobby more. And that was another kind of resolution where, you know, I'm not gonna spend money on this hobby, but I'm gonna go out and enjoy it. It's a good thing. So yeah, there's 4 reasons why you might want to do a hobby resolution in the new year. Big pile of unpainted figures, bunch of half-finished projects, you're getting funny looks from the people that you care about or that you're responsible to, and or you need to cut your spending and keep a roof over your head. So if any of those 4 things are for you, let's talk about how you might do a hobby resolution. The hardest part of any resolution is self-control. Man, let me tell you, one of the things that is the worst about this wargaming hobby that we all have is that there is constantly cool new stuff coming out for it. And there's a Cold War sense of arms racing with you and your buddies to stay on the cutting edge of what's new and what's exciting. There is a real keeping up with the Joneses mentality in wargaming. Now, luckily for me, I'm a bit longer in the tooth. I have a lot of affection for older miniatures. And I don't necessarily succumb to that, but every once in a while there'll be a miniature that comes out that I just have to click buy on. Add to cart, buy, because it is so cool that it just hits my must own button. And so yeah, so the number one thing that you're gonna have to have going out of the gate if you're gonna do something on hobby resolution is self-control. Now there are 3 things that can impact self-control that I find really, really useful. The first one is pacing. So don't try and achieve your hobby resolution all at once. If you're gonna have a hobby resolution, set a hobby resolution that takes a long time to complete, like a year. So for instance, if you have a half-finished project you're trying to get done and you're really, really excited about a new project that you just picked up and isn't even assembled yet, sitting in a box, and you know it's gonna distract you, make a deal with yourself, right? Set a pacing goal. Like for instance, all right, I'm gonna get to put together 1 unit of this other army over here, for every unit that I finish painting in this army over here. That to me is a sort of a thing where it gives you a time frame for getting things done, or at least a milestone for getting things done, where while you're spending time back with that project that's half finished and you're kind of gritting your teeth and you're making yourself do it, you cool off on the project that was going to distract you. So you force yourself to spend some time with one thing before you go and spend some time with something else. Now, inevitably, the thing that you're gritting your teeth and bearing through and going because you're looking at the other thing and you're so excited, you're going to get excited about that thing when you go over and do it. So make the thing that you're doing right now that you have to do a little bit more time intensive than the other one. So for instance, I wouldn't do model for model from one army to another. I'd say I finished this squad, I get to build a model from this side. And I get to go back and forth, right? So I finish another squad, I get to go do one thing over here. And that way you don't get too charged up and distracted by the thing that you are doing while you're sort of like gritting your teeth and getting through the project that you have to do. Likewise with big piles of unpainted miniatures, the War Machine Leagues have been handy for that, for me, because I've known I had to get X or Y done for a list, but it was never a ton of stuff. So for instance, you're gonna see 4 painted figures on the painting table this week that I had to get done to finish off a Merc list so that I could play in the league. You're gonna see a pile of 6 other miniatures. That's my last list that I'd have to get finished all at once, or finished for the last list that I'm trying to do. But it's not a huge ton of stuff, right? It's a small collection of figures. I can knock each one out probably in about an hour or 2. And that means that I'm not, killing myself painting a huge amount at once. And that's really putting a dent in my unpainted Merc pile. My Merc miniatures, I had literally, before I started working with MiniWarGaming, I had a Ogren Bokur, a P. Eris, and that's it. That's all I had painted. And Gorman. I had those 3 Merc miniatures painted before I started working here. And I have an entire Merc army now. I have both Magnuses. I have, I also had dwarves. I had Gorton, a driller, 3 blasters. Yeah, I had the dwarf battle box painted too. But that was all my Merc stuff. That was literally every Merc miniature that I owned that it was painted. Was the Bokur, Eris, Gorman, and then that little Merc rattle group. And yeah, I have tons of Merc. I'm not gonna go through what I've painted now, but I have tons of Merc stuff painted. And it's that unpainted chunk of my collection got painted through setting a goal, finishing that a little bit, setting a goal, finishing that a little bit, setting a goal, finishing that a little bit. So pacing, really important. Using a calendar, that one's important to me too. If there's 52 weeks in a year, paint 1 figure a week thing actually is very relaxing. I did that a couple years ago. I said, I'm gonna paint 52 miniatures this year, big or small, give myself a week to paint each one. And if I manage to get ahead of myself, then I get to buy and paint a bonus miniature. So that calendar thing, I actually would go on my calendar and Google Calendars and I would plot out what miniature I was gonna paint each week, depending upon what I had to do and when. And believe it or not, you can get a ton of stuff painted like by doing that, and it doesn't seem like it's so much. So using a calendar and planning out what you're gonna do, or for instance, if I had to go to a tournament and I had to paint, let's say, I don't know, 30 figures, doing a figure every 3 days or a figure every 2 days or whatever, would just keep me on track and help me plan out what I was gonna do. So that's the other thing. Pacing, calendars, they can be super useful for planning projects and keeping yourself to a resolution, because if my phone beeps me and goes, remember you have 2 days to paint this miniature, like every day before that miniature is due, and then sends me a reminder, I actually get it done, believe it or not. I feel a little bit of pressure that I've betrayed, past Ash, who went and put all these calendar requests in my calendar and said, you need to get stuff done, buddy. And I feel a little bit guilty when it doesn't get done and I have to like do 2 miniatures in a week then. So using a calendar and setting yourself reminders and stuff, it's like the voice from the past, like rattling chains and going, remember me, you said you were gonna paint these miniatures. I mean, that can be super duper useful. So the last one, and this is my last bit of advice if you're gonna do a hobby resolution, is be accountable. So tell people you're doing it, advertise that you're doing it somewhere to somebody, and then keep track of your results. That can be a vlog, that can be a blog, that can be a Facebook page that you and your buddies post on, that can just be you and your buddies getting together and maybe having a painting night or a hobby night or a gaming night or whatever to do more of the thing you've resolved to do. And mark your progress. I think that's a really important thing in any resolution, is celebrate your accomplishment and your achievement, because if you do that, it will actually fire you up and jazz you up to go and do the next thing. So those are my 3 big things: pacing, calendars, like use a calendar and set yourself a timeline, and then being accountable. So posting the results somewhere, putting them on Cool Mini or not, putting them on a Facebook group, putting them on my Facebook page. Heck, if you guys want to join in a hobby resolution with me this year, post your hobby resolution to my Facebook page, and we will do it all together. I will start a Facebook group of hobby resolutions for 2015, and you guys just keep posting them. You can join on my hobby resolution, and we'll all be accountable together. So there's my thing. Be accountable. We'll do a Facebook group for hobby resolutions. Post them to my Facebook page, facebook.com/outofthebasement into the streets. And we will start a Facebook group after you post all your accomplishments. I don't know, let's say January 1st, I'll form the group and I'll invite everybody who posts on my Facebook page to it. And it'll be a closed group, and we'll all post together and keep up our hobby accomplishments. And that'll give you guys, if you're in that group, I don't know, some sneak peeks into my on the painting table for that week. So there we go. There is my 3 tricks to doing hobby resolution: pacing, using a calendar, and being accountable. So yeah, I'm gonna think about my hobby resolution for this year. If you decide to catch up with me on Facebook and join in doing a hobby resolution, then come join me, and we will, I don't know, talk about it together and post photos and progress shots, and I'll be accountable for the 2015 hobby resolutions. So let's check out what's on my painting table right now. I did get some stuff done this week, right before I take a break for the holidays. I'm gonna go off to the Kawarthas, see my family, maybe go snowshoeing. I don't think there's gonna be any snow now, so I might just go hiking. I don't know, with my daughter in the brown. She was born in Memphis. I kind of promised her a white Christmas, and I'm a little disappointed here in Canada. You had the coldest winter in like 100 years last year, and now I'm back and it's all balmy and warm and above freezing. I'm disappointed. So we'll see you, I guess, after that Christmas break. I'll be on Facebook though and stuff like that, checking my my page and commenting on videos as they get posted as well. So you'll see me online, but I'm not gonna be in the office filming videos. So they won't see me out there, but you guys will probably see me a little bit. So let's see what's on the painting table. All right, so here's what I painted this week. I finished off that Reinhold. You guys saw him last week. He was just base coated, but now he is done. My Gobber Speculator, there to hand out some Lucky Charm and or other bits and pieces. I'll make sure I focus on him. There he is with his little spyglass and his trench coat. He is the most dapper goblin I've ever seen. I think they're called gobbers in War Machine, but he's a goblin, whatever. I also painted Terran and Rutger Hauer. Nah, it's Rutger Shaw, but I painted him to look like Rutger Hauer, give him blonde hair. They are part of the Drake McBain Sellswords list. You can't usually use Terran in a 4-star list unless you're using the tier bonus or tier that Drake has. So I painted her anyway because I might get to use her in 4-star eventually if I decide to use his contract. And then there is the man himself, McBain! Drake McBain. He's super cool, tough forecaster. Yeah, just a nice, again, sort of like War Machine level paint job, I guess I'm going to start calling them, meat and potatoes. You know, cigar hanging out of his mouth. He's got some pretty cool rules. He's going to hang out with the Galleon probably at some point. So that's what I painted this week, was these 4 dudes. Got them finished. I also painted a ton of Tau stuff. So if you see Riptides this week or next week or at some point in the future that Matt's playing with, and or all of his Tau flyers, that Tau army, the blue and white one and the green one, were actually mine, and I sold it to them because I didn't really care about it anymore and I wasn't really playing any 40k. So I added some stuff to it and just painted it to match. So yeah, you'll see them later, probably in some videos, but there's some Tau stuff as well. So this is what's on the painting table now. These are the last Merc miniatures that I need to paint up to finish my last Merc list for the War Machine League Season 4. It's a pair of mules, and these are metal mules. These are the old metal ones, and just like the Nomad, they are so much bigger than their plastic friends. It's ridiculous. They're ginormous. They're steam lobbers and stuff. And they're already base coated, and you know their bases are all done. And then we've got Bartolo Montador, and we've got 3 solos, which is Dougal McNeil, Dirty Meg, and the Ragman. I need to get painted for my Merc tiers, and that's going to be my Bart list, is these guys plus some other stuff, Galleon and whatever. So they're on the painting table, and that's literally the last War Machine stuff I need to paint for the league this year, although I'm going to need to get it painted soon because of my lists, because people have been canceling games, and so I had to stand in and play games, like a ton. And then I got my Baker. This is actually going to be my level 4 Ogre Mage. I'm super excited about her. She's a female man-eater from the Ogre range, but she's got a giant rolling pin, so she totally makes sense as a baker instead of a butcher, which I think is hilarious. So she's going to be my other butcher. She's going to be my level 4. She's the large and in-charge matriarch of my Ogre tribe. I'm going to get her painted, and yeah, hopefully play some games with her soon, because I'm going to have a second butcher, which is pretty exciting with the new Magic rules. So there you go. There is on the painting table for this week. All right, MiniWarGamers, so there it is. The War Machine, I was just talking about War Machine. The Machine Shop, episode 11, Hobby Resolutions. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed my On the Painting Table as well, seeing what I was working on. I will be back next week in 2015 for episode 12 of the Machine Shop. And if you guys do want to join me for a hobby resolution again, catch up with me on my Facebook page, facebook.com/outofthebasement into the streets, and you can, I guess, be accountable for whatever your hobby resolutions are for 2015. I think it'll be a lot of fun. You can also catch up with me in the comments, usually on the YouTube channel. I don't usually respond too much to the comments on the MiniWarGaming channel because they're a bit hard to follow. But yeah, you can talk to me there. So we'll see you in 2015. Have a good think about your resolutions. I'll be posting my own on my Facebook page on the 1st, so on New Year's Day. We'll see you next time for more Machine Shop. Until then, happy wargaming.